What you doing, Diggletdreamers? You got Mathers back with another week of the Vitality Draft League. This week up against Arc, aka One Wild Arcanine, coach of the Chicago Beartics. It's a pretty short one, so I'm just going to get through it pretty quick. I brought some pretty exciting stuff. Obviously, I brought Dracovish, but also brought modest specs Swellow, because I looked at his team and he had no switch-ins to Boomburst, and that just sounded really cool to me. And I mean, look at the team that he decided to bring. Specs Boomburst 2-hit KOs everything, if not outright KOs. If his Charizard doesn't have any kind of HP investment, if it's just speed and attack, then it's knocked out. This is Mega X, by the way. It has a very good chance to OHKO offensive Landorus, and everything else should be pretty easily 2-hit KO'd. So it doesn't switch in, his team does not switch into Swellow, which is really cool because I really want to see Swellow put in some work. So of course, I decided to lead off with it. And so turn one, he leads Landorus, and so my first thought was, not only is he Scarf Landorus, but does he have Stone Edge? Because that's the only move that's going to knock me out. So yes, he has to be Scarf and Stone Edge to be able to knock out Swellow. If he's not Scarf, then I have a very good chance to knock it out. And if he's doesn't have Stone Edge, maybe he just goes for Stealth Rocks, maybe he just goes for U-turn or knockoff or anything like that, then I'm doing okay. So after considering it for a little bit, I was like, you know what? If I can knock out this Landorus turn one, that would be a great start to this. Knocks me out instead. So not a great start. Not a great start at all. Unfortunately, Swellow gets knocked out turn one. He is Scarf Landorus. And my premier wall breaker on the team outside of Dracovish is suddenly just gone. So I'm like, oh, that was a bad play. Why'd I do that? But now that I know he's Scarf, I can switch in my Tyranitar pretty safely and get my Stealth Rock up, get my Sandstorm up, which I do, as of course in comes Hitmontop. I'm going to be able to Rapid Spin pretty freely. I decided to go Gardevoir to try to dodge the Fighting type move, but does indeed Rapid Spin, which does a heck of a lot with Technician. And I was like, oh, yeah. So right there, I was Scarf. I would have been able to outspeed and knock this thing out with a Moonblast, most likely. In my head, I was like, he could have Bullet Punch. He probably would bring Bullet Punch to hit my Gardevoir. And I do have Incineroar or even like Dracovish that I could switch into this. Even Roserade might be able to switch in to a Fighting type move. And so I really thought about scouting for it. But then for some reason, I just decided to just stay in and get hit by it. And I thought maybe he was either going to switch or go for it or not have Bullet Punch. But of course, he did end up having Bullet Punch. So two really bad predictions within the first 4 turns for me. Basically puts me so far back, I don't know if I can recover. Because I'm already down 2 Pokemon, my Scarfer and my Specs Swellow. So I don't really have much in terms of switching into this thing anymore. Plus it's at +1 speed, so it's going to be outspeeding things like Tyranitar and Incineroar. Charizard also looking like a really big threat. I don't have my Scarfer to knock it out. I don't have my thing that naturally outspeeds it to knock it out. And yeah, not to mention Scarf Landorus Earthquake is looking pretty threatening. I do have Shukaberry, but I don't have Ice Beam. I got rid of Ice Beam. I had Ice Beam originally with Shukaberry, but I decided against it since I figured it's kind of common sometimes, and I thought I'd rather have other moves like Iron Head to KO the Ninetales, and Rock Blast to hit Charizard, Earthquake to hit Charizard. Or no, I have Earthquake to hit Charizard, and I have Pursuit for something. I don't remember what it was, but there was something I wanted to pursue. Oh, it was Poltegeist, which he didn't end up bringing, which is probably a good call since I did have Incineroar as well. But anyway, so a lack of playing correctly and a lack of good prep is really biting me in the ass here. So out of basically pure desperation, I decided to just go Dracovish. Hits the triple axle, does get all 3 hits, which does a lot of damage, but Dracovish is able to knock this thing out. But unfortunately, Dracovish is not Sand Rush, it is Strong Jaw. So it's not going to be able to outspeed anything like Landorus, Charizard, even Miltank, Ninetales, maybe even Suicune if it has speed. And with that much of my bulk gone already, it's not looking good for Dracovish. So in comes the Miltank. I know this thing's going to outspeed me, so I decided to go Incineroar just to play it safe. Goes for the counter. Thankfully, worked out there. In comes the Landorus as I went for a knockoff. I just want to get... I knew knockoff would be good versus Miltank. I could get rid of its leftovers or whatever it's using. And it hits everything else pretty well. I could get rid of like a light clay or an icy rock on the Ninetales. Leftovers on Suicune would be super nice to get rid of. It also just hits Charizard hard. Not that hard, but hits it at least. Does decide to go Landorus, so I get rid of the Choice Scarf, which is not bad, but still outspeeds my whole team even without the Scarf, so it's not great either. I decided to just, like, what do I switch into an Earthquake? Nothing. So I decided maybe by some chance Incineroar could live this hit, but no, it doesn't. And there's not much more to do. I decided to go into this since I can tank with a Shuka Berry, but he does U-turn pretty freely, as in comes the Suicune. I just clicked Iron Head because it hit Landorus pretty hard, and it would have KO'd the Ninetales. I kept thinking that Ninetales would come out to try to get rid of my sand and try to set up the hail, but no, Suicune came in pretty freely there. Thankfully, I do have Roserade that switches into this thing. Goes for a Calm Mind there, which is pretty scary. I think Giga Drain should be able to 2-hit KO even at +1. I made sure to calc that because I am modest Roserade. So I'm in a good spot, basically. And I get a crit there, which is pretty nice. The Ice Beam's there, but thankfully since I did outspeed, I would have been able to just knock it out even if I hadn't crit on the following turn. Pretty sure, even at +1. In comes the Ninetales. Not much I can do here because he could click Freeze Dry, he could click Moonblast without really any worry. He could click Aurora Veil, which is what I was really expecting. And my best bet was really to try to get a free switch into Tyranitar where I could click Iron Head and try to KO, but the game was basically over at this point. I might as well just let it play out. Knocks out my Roserade, no problem. I go to Tyranitar just for desperation. In comes the Miltank as I just get Stealth Rock up because I thought Stealth Rock would be nice. It would weaken the Charizard, but Body Press then knocks out Dracovish there, and that's about it. Body Press will also knock out Tyranitar, and down goes my team. So not very happy with how I played this week. I guess coming off of a week off and then a loss before that probably didn't set me up in the right mindset, but hopefully this loss makes me realize that I really do need to put a little bit more effort into not only my building but also my plays. If I'm thinking of something, my opponent probably thought of it too, so it's better to scout for it. Like that Bullet Punch, for example. I should have gone to Incineroar, maybe even Dracovish before staying in with Gardevoir, just so I would have known that he has Moonblast and that it completely checks my Gardevoir. It doesn't switch in, but it checks, so it would have been really valuable information, and being able to hold on to my Scarfer would have been quite nice. And if the chances of losing my most premier wall breaker in Swallow is at hand, then maybe I should make the safer play. So I just played it really ridiculously fast and loose and suffered the consequences. So lessons learned for next week. So hopefully I can improve for next time. But yeah, not super happy to have to upload this and share this, because it's certainly not a bright side of my Vitality Draft League run. But yeah, it happens. It happens all the time, and hopefully it can recover from this. Currently, 3-2 win-loss record in the league, with the last 2 battles being the loss. So hopefully it can stop that cycle from happening and continue to get wins and eventually make to the playoffs and become the champion of Season 3. But anyway, keep dreaming. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.